I don't even think he was on the bench, and you kind of left going, well, hang on. So that does go into the depth, as you say. I mean, having them at the club, but especially the way they were being used.
Well, yeah, Saints didn't use a lot of players. I mean, they went with pretty much the same 17 for most of the games wherever they could, didn't they? So Farge tended to come off the bench, didn't he, and be used as a little bit of a utility, but not get huge minutes. And then I suppose we don't know too much about whether any of the other young players are ready for Super League because we didn't see much of them.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So the ins then, Kevin Nguama, Joe Batchelor, Joseph Paulo and Lachlan Coote. I'm going to stick my neck out and guess that you don't know tons about back rower / centre Joe Batchelor, who's come over from the York City Knights but has had a really good career so far at League One level, and obviously he'll be working to make the step up. So let's talk about the 3 NRL imports instead, and what do you make of those 3 signings?
As I said to you before we started recording here, it was only just the other day that I remember Joe Paulo signed for Saints again. That one completely fell off the memory bank on that one. That was the one that when I was thinking about it earlier, I'm not sure how he fits in with the team. Just considering who was in the team this season performing, and then especially in the forwards having guys like Big Al come back. I don't know how he slots in rotation-wise, or whether he's just more of a depth signing. As more like backup. But yeah, that's one that I wasn't sure how he'd fit in with the team. And then with Nguama, I don't know if that's so much of. I was thinking earlier, it's almost a like for like. But I'm not sure I would go with that anymore thinking about it. When it comes to the attack, I'm not sure how much of the SLP people would have seen of him playing in the NRL games, but you would have seen what he was like in the internationals when he played for Fiji.
Yeah.
So I think we don't really lose much in that regard, but
it's going to be a serious conversation about hair, though, isn't there, next year with Nguama coming in? Because between him and Regan Grace, there's going to be a real high-top competition.
Oh, the best part is it, especially if you've got one on the left, one on the right, it'll be interesting to see how many times they get mixed up in commentary as well. That'll be quite funny.
It might help Regan Grace get like a nomination for an award or something, because if the Sky commentators keep thinking he's popping up all over the pitch, then he's going to get more credit, isn't he?
That'll work. I didn't even think about that. That would be quite funny.
But he's going to play in the centre, isn't he, we expect, and fill in that spot that Ryan Morgan's left. So we probably internationally plays a bit more at the fullback that we've seen for Fiji more recently, and maybe his better games that I've seen of him in the NRL have been on the wing. So do you think, sort of Super League being a slight step down anyway than the NRL, we have to accept that sadly, that he'll go okay at centre, or do you think there's still mistakes in him?
Yeah, well, that's the reason why I almost thought it was a like for like with Morgan as well, just having that swap. But yes, he does have the errors, but if he stays on that side with Tommy Mack, you'd almost think they could interchange the way they play depending on how they run, because they both can play that position, and also having the cover at fullbacks. Not really. I mean, how many players would we have there that can play that now? You've got you'd have him if he could do it. You'd have Tommy Mack. You've got Lomax and Coote, which we can talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
Just offhand that I can think of. So, I mean, having the cover to play those positions, it's probably not such a bad thing in that regard. But, I mean, having that channel or defending that channel with Makinson and
oh God, they're going to run the ball back with interest, whichever one's carrying it, aren't they? And that's going to be tough to stop.
100%.
And one off the back of the other on an exit set should be quite a threat for Saints to throw at the opposition, definitely.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go on.
Oh, no, it was just talking about running the ball back. All I could think, and it goes against our signing, but having Thompson and Walmsley running the ball back next season. Something we didn't really get to see this year, unfortunately, but I can't wait.
Oh God! If you've got Makinson started and Aguama off the back of that, then 2 carries by Walmsley and 1 by Thompson in between. Yeah, you're going to get 80 metres every set.
Just a couple of metres, so that should be good. That is something I'm looking forward to, especially seeing the pictures of Big Al back training. So I am looking forward to that.
The sort of fullback replay. I don't know how you feel about Lachlan Coote, because obviously you loved Ben Barber so much. That is this kind of. You're finding it hard to shift your love over to Lachlan Coote, or do you think he's going to be the quality of signing that everyone else seems to expect, and that is making Saints still one of the favourites next year?
Look, I'm not as negative as he'd probably think. The only thing I have in the back of my mind is his ability to stay fit.
Yeah.
He does like an injury. Like when he plays well, he's good, but I was only just thinking that when you said about doing this recording, that I went, well, with the strength and conditioning they must have at the moment, assuming it's any different since Holbrook's taken over, guys like Lomax haven't, touch wood, really gone down with anything big, and they were guys that were serially out. So I'm sort of hoping with that change, the way they do it, we might actually have him staying on the pitch a lot more than, past seasons in the NRL. But I mean, in regards to the way he plays, I still think he'll offer that spark in attack that we need. Just obviously not, in my opinion, the same calibre as Benny.
Yeah, it's possibly less electric, but equally as good, if not better, at joining the line. I remember there was a number of games, particularly in the sort of last third of the season, in 2018, where Barber was still a threat on the left when he chipped in there, but on the right he started to kind of throw a lot of ridiculously bad passes that cost you in some games, and maybe Coote is better with the passing game both ways, both sides of the pitch, and that might actually help even up the balance in terms of how many tries are scored down the left wing and how many tries are scored down the right wing.
Yeah, so hopefully that's the case. I mean, I didn't really watch too much of the Cowboys games. Don't tell Carsten that. But
Carsten's going to be the first to listen.
Oh yeah, and the first to comment too, no doubt. No, so when it comes to that, like I do remember his games from the clubs he'd played at before. But I mean, this particular season just gone, I can't say I saw too much.
I don't. But I feel like I didn't even play lots, so I'm not
sure if that might have come down to
this year as well. I didn't watch as many of the games this year. We don't get all the games over here anymore unless we pay for the app. So, but I particularly remember their grand final year and how outstanding he was that season before injuries came back again to haunt him more.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether it might have been neither of us really watched the games, or whether he might have had something happen to him again this year. But no, I don't know. It's not particularly a bad signing in my opinion. It was just the shoes he has to fill.
Yeah, definitely.
The main thing about him that not so much offensive that I find is when they did the squad numbers, he's wearing the 23. And I went,
not a replacement.
I just rolled. I didn't know how to react to that one. I just rolled my eyes and went, no. I mean, the shoes to fill anyway, but then taking his number, I thought, oh no.
So overall, then, do you think the trio of Paolo, Coote, and Aguama are an upgrade, a downgrade, or kind of on a par with the players that they're directly replacing almost in the squad, Wilkin, Barber, and Morgan?
I would almost just say it's on par.
Yeah.
I might, I wouldn't think that I'd be particularly wrong in that. I mean, you could make an argument for it, but especially the fullback and the centre. Yeah, the fullback and the centre, I would think is, much the same. It's, as I say, it's just how Paulo fits in. I'm not sure how that works, but then, like I say, my brain's been switched off since October in regards to rugby, so I hadn't really thought about it too much.
So I guess where do you think Saints are going to finish? Do you think that they're going to be at the top again? Do you think that they're going to be able to get over those semi-final humps? What do you think is going to happen at the end of 2019 with Saints?
I honestly think we could go top of the ladder again. I would hope that we've learnt from this season of what went wrong and what we can do better. But I would like to think we could go that one game further. I don't like that heartbreak of losing the game before, especially knowing that they're winnable, but then just letting it go. So.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same page as you at the moment. Saints are floating around the top two in my mind for now I'm switching on to predict for 2019 mode. I do wonder if Lomax and Richardson, having had those crucial, important games that they played last year, maybe we'll learn from that, and Lomax obviously getting the exposure in the internationals as well will help them learn how to deliver at those crunch stages, because obviously that was a problem, a lack of experience of winning those semi-finals for those guys, that at least now they've played in some, they might have developed that experience. So I don't want to hope that Saints win anything next year, but from your point of view, Matt, I do hope that they can at least get to a final.
Just purely for my sanity, it's the getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, our time, to watch the games, and just to watch them bail out like that, it gets quite frustrating. It really does ruin the day. So I'm not sure what it's like for the fans over there, but definitely for my sanity, I hope they do a lot better this year, or this coming season rather. Just purely to keep me happy on that one.
Unless they just lose the games that aren't on TV, so you don't have to get us upset, or do they bother you just as much?
No, because one of the radio stations that are over there, I think it's Wish FM, actually do the radio feed. That I think they do the Saints and Wigan games.
They do,
and so when we're not on TV, I'd still get up early just to listen to the radio call.
That's commitment, and that's why we had you on this show to talk about St Helens. Matt, thanks for joining us.
No worries at all. It was good to be on.
Speak soon.
Thanks, Mark. Cheers.
Right, David, to look ahead to 2019, I'm going to start with the same question that I've just put to Matt, and that's overall, are the new signings of Paolo, Coote and Nguama an upgrade, a downgrade, or about the same as the men they're replacing directly in Wilkin, Barber and Morgan?
Yeah, I think that's a really hard question. I think it is a really hard question on two fronts, I think. One is, I don't think anyone can replace Ben Barber. He's a pretty unique talent, and I suspect you'd have to look really hard to find anybody that you could sign. We were very lucky to get him with the circumstances he was in, I think. So no, I don't think you can replace Ben Barber, but I think on paper, and if you watch the YouTube videos, I think we're rightly excited about Nakama and what he might bring to us. Mm-hmm. And if Coote can refine some of the form he had a couple of years ago, he could also be quite exciting. So I am hopeful that is going to allow us to maintain our momentum forwards in 2019. But to be honest, I'm looking as much forward to seeing more from some of the young guys that broke through in 18, and some of the guys that haven't necessarily had game time yet, and seeing whether they can help to strengthen us in the coming season.
Is that the likes of Costello then? Maybe Wellesby's been playing for the academy sides and those sorts of players. Are they the ones you're looking at?
Yes, I think Costello, Wellesby, and then in the pack, Bentley and Batchelor. Batchelor at centre. So I think these guys are the future possibly for the club. So I'd like to see how they develop. I'd also like to see. I think obviously we saw Jack Ashworth play with somebody I was hoping to get to see this year.
he rocked up and had like 3 or 4 fantastic games out of nowhere, didn't he?
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how he does this year. And if Matty Lees can not get himself sent off, then I'm looking forward to seeing whether he can develop a bit further for us as well.
He's just getting bigger and bigger, isn't he, as well, Matty Lees? Now he looks like he was so skinny when he made